You've clicked on this video because you're searching for confirmation. The gap between where you are now and where you want to be feels distant. You're feeling chaos, confusion, and uncertainty. But this video has found you at the exact time that you need to hear it, because you're actually in one of the most important phases of your success journey that no one really talks about. Today, I'm going to reveal exactly what this phase is that you're in and the 3 things that you need to know in order to navigate this season of challenge, uncertainty, and chaos powerfully so you can transform that challenge into one of your greatest success stories. If you're new here, I'm Emma Zia. I've been an energy psychologist and consultant to high performers for the last 9 years, and I'm sharing these insights and wisdom directly with you so that you can become fully self-expressed and build a life that you're obsessed with. Before we dive into the 3 things that you need to know right now, I'm going to reveal exactly what it is that you're experiencing. You're in the in-between phase, the phase where your old life no longer fits, but your new life hasn't emerged yet. This is what pioneering psychologist Carl Jung refers to as individuation. Individuation is a lifelong psychological process where we let go of the societal masks that we've created as a means to fit in and be accepted, and instead we return to our authentic nature. This means that the old version of you is dying and the new one hasn't emerged yet. But this season that you're in, the in-between, is so powerful because it's the season where you stop performing and you start becoming. The reason it feels so heavy for you right now is because you're carrying 2 versions of yourself. Your ego is desperately trying to cling on to the old, familiar self, whereas your new self is trying to come through. Here's the important truth. The in-between phase isn't the opposite of success, although I know that it feels like it, but it's actually success in motion. You're not behind, you're not off path, you're not broken, you're exactly where you need to be. You're in the process of becoming. You're recalibrating to a brand new identity where the same patterns, thoughts, behaviors, beliefs, and glass ceilings that have been holding you back no longer exist. And after watching this video, you will understand why there was a development season, why there was a pause, why there was a delay, why there was this season of being incredibly uncomfortable. Because discomfort isn't the enemy of success, it's the teacher. It is a threshold that we walk through so that our old self can burn away and our new self can emerge. The video is broken up into 3 parts, which are all timestamped below for your convenience. In part 1, I address the pain of confusion and how you can actually approach confusion powerfully so that it no longer drains you, slows you down, or holds you back, but it actually catapults you forward. In part 2, I share why this season of your life feels so difficult and the one thing that you can focus on and do in order to make it a lot easier. And in part 3, I address the most liberating truth about time, so that instead of fighting against time, you actually work with it to fast track your transformation. All of these parts work together, so make sure you listen to all 3 in order to have the full message that you're ready to hear today. Truth number 1, confusion is an incredibly positive sign of a new reality. Carl Jung saw confusion as an absolute necessary part in the stage of individuation. It signals that old structures of your psyche are breaking down in order to make way for new integration. He states that confusion creates the necessary tension in order for psychological growth to happen. He says that by holding the 2 opposites, which is confusion on direction, path, ideas, decisions, when you hold the tension of the opposites, you actually enter a 3rd way, which is a transcendent function. This transcendent function is the psyche's natural ability to synthesize the opposites and therefore transcend and create something new and something different. He believed that confusion should be honored. It's part of the sacred journey of growth. It's not something to be rushed or avoided. And we actually need confusion to create this friction of opposites between the old self and the new self in order to generate transformation. So you can see now that tension is not a bad thing. Confusion is not a bad thing. It's a necessary part of forming this new identity that you're ready to become. Dr. David Hawkins teaches us that confusion is the ego's way of trying to have control over something that it doesn't understand, and also something that the rational mind alone cannot comprehend. And he teaches that rather than trying to figure out the confusion and actually grip onto the clarity, instead to allow the confusion to be there, to be present with it, without forcing it, without gripping onto anything, and without avoiding it. I've worked with hundreds of high performers and leaders over the last 9 years, and I can see how debilitating confusion can be when you allow it to defeat you. I've witnessed hundreds of personal transformations to know that as soon as we are letting go of our past self, the ego is going to get louder and it's going to get stronger just before you let it go. This is why when we're becoming our next version of ourselves, we are put into this intense confusion because our ego is trying so hard, it is working relentlessly to hold on to what is known and familiar. If you constantly feed attention into these thoughts that your ego is feeding you, then you're not going to be able to let go, and it's going to create this internal struggle, friction, and suffering. Instead, when you could be present with the thoughts of your ego without feeding attention into it, letting it come up and out of your mind, up and out of your body, what happens? It naturally dissipates because the ego feeds off of attention. If you restrict the attention that you give your ego, then it will eventually loosen its grip and the confusion will resolve itself. The most powerful approach to confusion is do not grab on. I want you to imagine that you are the sky behind the clouds, the ever-present energy behind the moving clouds. And then imagine that the clouds are your ego's thoughts, voices, and narratives. Allow the clouds to move through, to move past without trying to hold onto them or grip on. You're feeling this intense confusion right now because your old self is becoming lost so that your new self can become found. Think of a caterpillar when it goes into its cocoon before it becomes a butterfly. It goes into a season of darkness. It goes into a season of contraction. It goes into a season of rebirth. And there's this gestation period before it transforms into a butterfly. That's where you're at right now. You are in the cocoon. You are in the darkness. You are in a time of deep internal rebirth. You are rediscovering who you want to be in this lifetime. And just as a caterpillar trusts its own timing, you need to trust the timing. If you try and force the clarity when you're in that state of confusion, nothing is going to make sense. Because how you think from the level of your new identity, your future self, your next level self, is going to be different to your past self. It's going to be different to what feels most familiar. So find peace in that place of trusting the process and your power will grow. The confusion is simply a battle between your ego's desire to control and then your higher self trying to come through, trying to create anew. If you allow yourself to be defeated by confusion, then it's a weakness. It's not a strength. Discomfort is temporary, but strength is forever. Instead of trying to fight the confusion, get curious with it. When these different ideas are coming up, when this opposition is coming up, when this tension is coming up, get curious. Okay, so what is the voice of my old self and what is the voice of my new self? I don't need to know the answer right now because I trust that in time, the clarity will eventually resolve itself. It will enter the transcendent function. But right now, let me get curious. Let me observe what these different voices are showing me. Let me observe what these different decisions are coming up, the different options, the different life paths, the different desires that I want for my life. Be curious, and then confusion cannot defeat you. Truth number 2, we make the process of transformation harder by fighting it. Resistance to what is what creates suffering. What I mean by that is that with this confusion, with this challenge, with this uncertainty, with this chaos, the more that you fight it, by avoiding, by judging yourself, by going into narratives about being a failure or not good enough, or that you're doing something wrong or that you're behind, every time you entertain those debilitating thoughts, you are not in acceptance of what is. When you can accept what is because it is, you can just really relax into the knowing that you're exactly where you need to be and you're going through this process for a reason because the universe is always working in your favor. It is never working against you because the universe is simply your non-physical expression of self, your non-physical part. Then instead of fighting your current reality, you work with it. It's the process of individuation. We essentially spend the first half of our lives creating a version of ourselves that is palatable to the world. We become who the world tells us who to be so that we could be approved of and accepted by society, because quite literally, our survival depends on it. We are relationally dependent beings. We are a social species. While survival depends on other people being able to support us, other people liking us, other people accepting us belonging to a tribe. But this version isn't your true self. And if you're watching this video, I assume that you feel that already. You've been living 2 lives. There's the life that you live that you know is going to get recognition and acceptance and approval and validation. But then there's also the unlived life within you. The version of you that you know you've come into this world to become, to discover, to be. This is why letting go of our old self is so challenging, because we believe that our survival depends on it. This is why you question everything. This is why you feel like a failure. This is why you feel like you're broken. This is why you feel like you're off path or you're not on purpose, you're not in the right direction. It's because your ego is saying, stay where you are, as you are, in order to survive. It's so closely entangled with our need for safety that is why it feels so hard. But what you're going through at the moment is you're discovering a new safety within yourself. You're reassigning your safety from, I need to be like this so that the world can accept me and they can be comfortable with my existence. And instead, you're finding safety in, who am I outside of those things? Who am I outside of my parental expectations, my societal expectations, my cultural expectations? Who am I outside of who the world has told me who to be? This change feels so scary because you haven't experienced acceptance from that authentic nature of yourself. You've only experienced acceptance by the tribe through being this performer self, the one that wears these masks. You're in a phase of entering unknown territory. You're entering the unfamiliar. And this is the ego's worst enemy, because the ego is designed to predict the future, and protect us from danger. But here's what you need to know. Your evolution, your growth, your becoming is happening whether you intervene with it or not. Just like a flower blooms without question, it blooms without questioning its path, its purpose, or what it's here to become. It trusts that as long as it has the right environment, the nutrients from the soil, sun, water, then it grows. There is an intelligence of growth happening whether you are conscious of it or not, and whether you are intervening with it or not. And this intelligence is working in your favor right now. It is moving you into the version of yourself that you know you have the potential to be and become. What stops it, what makes it feel harder, is when your ego starts to resist it. It creates this block in the organic growth experience that is happening behind the scenes. The question shouldn't be, am I on purpose? Am I on the right path? The question should be, how courageous can I be in my ability to surrender to my natural evolution? And this is the antidote to resistance: surrender. Surrender is not weakness. Surrender is not passivity. Surrender is not giving up. Surrender is the strongest, most courageous, and most engaged act that we can do. People ask me all the time, Emma, how do I surrender? And the irony in that question is that if you're asking how, it implies that your ego is trying to control the process. I believe that as human beings, we are naturally surrendered beings. We naturally know how to surrender into life, our evolution, into our becoming. But the world has blocked that natural state of being. The world has blocked our ability to trust our path and to flow with life. Instead, we feel that we need to know everything before we make a move. We feel that we need to get everything right, otherwise we are a failure. And our relentless fear of not feeling enough makes us feel like we have to consistently effort our way into being. But if I had to answer that question, my answer would be release the grip. What are you holding on to? What relationship are you too afraid to break away from? What stories and narratives are you too attached to about yourself that keeps you in these boxes? What career or business are you too scared to make a change with? These are the things that you're attached to, the things that you're afraid to let go of. Because if you let go of them, you don't know who you are without these things. Our attachments essentially form our identity. We attach to something, which gives us this sense of us knowing who we are. So if we release that relationship, if we change businesses or change career, if we let go of these stories in our ego, who are we behind all of that? It's a scary process, but it's necessary. And if you're watching this video and if you've made it this far, then you're ready for this. You are becoming the person that you are meant to be in this lifetime. Have the courage to surrender into that. Have the courage to surrender that in your life which cannot come to your next level. Attachment always results in resistance. And releasing attachment always results in growth. If you're experiencing any form of resistance right now, it's because attachment is present, but the choice is yours. Do you choose to be courageous and to let go of this attachment? Or do you choose to hold on and the growth is gonna happen anyway, your evolution is happening anyway, it's just it might feel harder. It might feel like more of a struggle, more of a challenge. You're going to intensify the discomfort. Surrender is releasing the pressure. Surrender is allowing life to work to you and through you rather than you believing that your ego needs to be the complete architect of your outcomes. Here's what surrender looks from a practical perspective. You stop trying to force the clarity before it's ready to arrive. You stop making decisions from panic or survival. You stop overworking to avoid the discomfort of not knowing. You stop needing to have it all figured out right now in this moment. Instead, you show up every day present. You do the next right thing. You take aligned action when it feels clear and then you rest when it's not. You let the process unfold instead of trying to micromanage every tiny bit of the timeline. The truth is that you're not in control of when that next season arrives, when you become that next version of yourself, when you enter that new reality, but you are in control of how you hold yourself while you wait. And how you navigate this period of uncertainty determines what you can create from it. Surrender doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing without force. It means trusting that you're being guided in every moment, even when you can't see the destination. Surrender is the ultimate form of self-trust because you're truly living from the inside out, not the outside in. You spend your first half of your life living from the outside in. Who do I need to be accepted, approved of, to fit in, to be liked? You start moving from the inside out. What is it that I want to be? What is it that I want to do? What is it that I want to create and experience in my life, even if people judge me or people don't agree with me? When you move from a place of surrender, you're no longer allowing external forces to distort your own internal guidance system. Control and growth cannot coexist. It's one or the other. Discomfort is simply the entry price of choosing to live the life of your dreams rather than the life that other people expect of you. It's the threshold of transformation. You actually burn your old self when you walk through the fire of alchemy, when you walk through the fire of change. You let your old self burn and then your new self can rise from the ashes. And truth number 3 is that your results accelerate when you stop rushing. When you try to force time, you actually create resistance. And it's that resistance that slows down your progress. This is because transformation happens on its own timeline. Trying to rush the transformation is just going to cut yourself short. When you rush the results of your becoming, you signal the frequency of lack. It's avoidance. It's trying to tap out of the discomfort. But we need time in order to integrate into that next level version of ourselves so that our desired reality is a match for that version. The best way to speed up time is to actually release the need for time altogether. I need you to know this: alignment trumps time. When you switch your focus onto being in alignment with the version of yourself that you're becoming, instead of how long it takes for you to come to that complete destination, you actually generate energy and momentum in the direction that you want to go. We know that our focus creates our reality. We know that where focus goes, energy flows. If you're focusing on why you're not there yet, if you're focusing on the lack of not having the results, of not being that person that you desire to be, then what's going to happen? You're going to intensify the energy, and therefore life is going to reflect that back to you of not being there, of not being that person, of not having the thing that you desire. So let time be time. There is a gestation period to all transformation. If you're baking a cake in the oven and you're opening the oven door every 5 minutes to check if it's ready, what's gonna happen? You let all of the heat out and it slows down the process. When you've arrived at your new self, when you've arrived at your becoming, you'll look back at this time of your life and you'll say, I get it. I get why it took time. I get why I needed to learn the lessons I needed to learn. I get why I needed to sit in that discomfort and discover who I am in those places. It was the time you needed to let go of the relationships that were holding you back, to move on from the ideas that don't match that next level of self, and to integrate your lessons into wisdom. Whatever desires you've declared to the universe that you want, the money, the opportunity, the house, the soulmate relationship, the health, whatever desires you've declared, you must know that in order for you to become a match for those things, you must become the person that makes sense for it. You must become the person that is a vibrational match to that reality. Here's the toxic cycle that happens when it comes to actualizing your desires into reality. First of all, you get clear on the desire that you want, more money, for example. You declare that to the universe. And then anything that doesn't match that reality of that newfound money, that abundance, that income flow, will come up to be looked at, will come up to be confronted. But because this is such a challenging time and it's so uncomfortable to look at those suppressed or repressed parts of ourselves, we then try and tap out from the discomfort. We lose the focus of the end result. We say, this is too hard, I'm tapping out. And then what happens? We complain that our reality is not changed. We complain that we don't have the money that we asked for. If you find yourself in this cycle, it's not your fault. Your natural state is to know how to transform desire into actuality, nothing into something, formless into form. But the world hasn't nurtured that part of our beingness. The world hasn't nurtured that natural part of what it is to be a creative being. So we've simply forgotten how to create powerfully. But now that you're watching this video, moving forward, it is your responsibility to make a change. It is your responsibility to move differently and more powerfully moving forward. Even during this season where you feel like you have no power, that nothing makes sense anymore, that the things that once brought you joy no longer bring you joy, that the things that once felt familiar no longer feel familiar, that your life is crumbling down around you and life as you know it is changing. Stay committed to the end result. Stay tapped in. Stay committed to what it is that you truly want for yourself. Define that vision and stay tapped into that vision. No matter what, do not drop your focus. And if you haven't already, define the vision. Get detailed with it. You don't want a vague vision for your life. You want detail. You want visceral experience. When you say tapped into this vision, it makes it easier because you understand that transformation is just part of the process, that pain is just part of the process, and that pain is not permanent. It is a passage. It's a passage into your next level of self. Time is simply a mental construct. There is no past, present, and future. We only perceive there to be a past, present, and future because it allows us to understand the linearity of this life experience. It allows us to compartmentalize our reality so that we can understand the succession of our lives. But from a quantum lens, there is only this present moment right now. All life paths, all potentialities, everything that is possible in this reality exists in the field in this moment right now. So how you choose to approach this present moment truly determines what you can create from it. I know the uncertainty can feel unbearable some days, but what if this in-between season isn't wasted time? What if it's preparation? What if the confusion is clearing out all of your old programming? What if the stillness is rewiring your nervous system? What if the not knowing is creating space for something so far beyond what you can comprehend right now from coming through for you? Trust the timing. Know that it's safe to surrender. It is your nature to surrender, and know that you are right on time, even if it doesn't feel like it. So here's your reminder. You're not lost, you're not broken, you're not behind, you're right where you need to be, and you're closer than you think. The in-between season is not the obstacle. It's the place where you became who you needed to be. If you know someone who's also stuck at the in-between, who's also struggling with the chaos, the confusion, the uncertainty, then send this video to them, share the confirmation, and be the one that helps someone else on their journey too. If you haven't already and you want to get these weekly videos where we help you step into the life that you are obsessed with, then please subscribe. There's going to be new videos released every Tuesday. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.